Let me just admit these people into the room. Welcome, everybody, to Greater Life, Greater Impact. I am Janet. I am, what am I? I'm a quantum healing practitioner, and I help take souls to the outer edges and to the uncharted waters of who they really are for healing, for restoration, and for spiritual awakening. Also for transformation. This world is going through a massive transformation right now. And if you follow astrology, if you follow people with psychic sensitivity, if you follow people who talk about and learn about, study about the cosmos, you know that everybody's talking about the fact that we're kind of entering into a new phase that we've never entered into before on this planet. And so today, what I want to focus on, the topic that I really want to focus on the most, is how to overcome this 3D world that we live in, so that you can rise with it as we shift into higher levels of consciousness and higher levels of awareness. This is a very magical and exciting time to be on the planet right now. It's a wonderful opportunity. It is a magical opportunity, and hopefully we can take advantage of and leverage what's happening right now. A lot of people ask me the question, what does 3D even mean? What does 4D mean? What does 5D mean? What does that have to do with anything? And what are you talking about when you use those terms? What I mean by that is, on this planet where we live in a veiled, low density world. That's the best way that I can use to describe it. Everything is energy. Everything is vibration. And so if you look at it in terms of frequency and vibration, 3D is just kind of a low vibrational frequency. And as a result of us being in this low density world, it's really easy to control us and manipulate us. If you understand that everything is energy, everything is frequency, you also understand too, along with that, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions are also frequency, also energies. And they have everything to do with the way that the world is showing up for you in your external world around you. And so people who seek to manipulate and control other human beings on this planet, those who are in elite leadership positions that are seeking to mind control, they know that if they can manipulate your mind and get you to believe certain things and get you dumbed down to a certain degree, they can control you for the most part. And so what's happening right now is, because the earth is up-leveling, the earth is upgrading, there's a lot more light, there are higher frequencies that are coming in and impacting the way that this world has been run for a millennia, if not more. And so we're on the brink of one of the most cosmic shifts that we have ever seen in the history of this planet right now. We're on the brink of that. It is a wonderful opportunity, as I said before. But so 3D, I think of that personally as it's just a lower frequency. It's a lower density. We have these physical bodies that we carry around with us, but a bigger part of what's animating those physical bodies is your light body. It's your energy. It's your spirit. And so as we learn how to tap more into that side of ourselves and that part of those aspects of ourselves, we can literally begin to change the mortal density of how mortality shows up for us. And so I do want to jump into talking about how we can do that as we come through this process of up-leveling and upgrading. A lot of people in astrology are saying there is a massive shift coming. In fact, we've been shifting for a long time, but we've been shifting in small increments as we've gone on through humanity, through the progress of humanity. But right now we're on the brink of like an octave scale shift. We've been going semitones, shifting in semitones as we've progressed on this planet. But right now we're on the brink of more than just semitones, but an octave, which is 8 notes, 8 tones. The 3D lower density frequencies are starting to fall away and pass away to make room for these higher frequencies to come in. And with that also comes, with that kind of change and transformation, also comes a lot of chaos and a lot of, change is never usually a comfortable thing. I like to liken it to having a baby. When you give birth to a new baby, a new life, which is really technically what's happening on this planet, is that Mother Earth is giving birth to a new Gaia, a new Earth, a new way of being on this planet. And it's causing us to have an opportunity to just kind of take a step back and look and re-examine what it really and truly means to be a human on this earth. And a lot of people, as we're coming through this transition, it's starting to get messy, starting to get a little overwhelming to some people. All you have to do is watch the news and see how overwhelming it really can be. There's so much information coming to the planet. There is so much being revealed, darkness, things that have been hidden from us, truths that have been hidden from us and kept in the dark. Those things are now starting to surface and come to light. And as they do, people's egos are freaking out. And so I tell people all the time in my mentoring coaching sessions, if you don't like what it feels like to stand next to the edge of a cliff and look down over the edge of the cliff, thinking and pondering on what it would be like to fall to your death on the rocks below, then don't stand there. Go stand somewhere else. Go gain a different perspective. Go focus on something else. And so that is kind of that's a key concept that we're going to focus on today, is how you can shift your awareness and your focus and your attention to create something better. As we come through this process of ascension, it gives us an opportunity to be more reflective and more, observant, more intuitive, to observe the world around you for the purpose of learning and examining and watching and noticing. That's one of the key components to getting through this transition in a way that will serve you for your highest good. Because there's going to be a lot of learning, but there's also going to be a lot of craziness, and there's going to be a lot of people freaking out. And there already is. People losing their shit on little things that don't matter. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better word. But really losing it over little insignificant things that really don't matter. What matters is your response to the little things that don't matter. That's really what matters. And so this is a time for us, as we come through these massive quantum cosmic shifts that are taking place in the universe. The planets are all shifting. The people on the planet are shifting. Our awareness is shifting. It's an opportunity for us to stand back and watch and observe and learn something. So today I want to talk a little bit about how we can ascend through this this process of transformation, or not transformation, but transition, these transitions that we're being invited to step into, like it or not, ready or not. The more sovereign you become, the more evident it is that this earth, to a large degree, has been in a state of almost like a prison for a really long time. We've been lied to. We've been manipulated. We've been controlled, mind controlled. If you haven't seen the techniques and the tactics of mind control in some of the various different systems on the earth, some of these secret societies that seek to enslave you into their system. A really good example of that is the 9-to-5 job. You're a worker bee. You are a slave to that system if you're in that system. But that doesn't have to be everybody's reality. It doesn't even have to be all our reality. We can change that. But we have to learn how to first discern. Shauna says, paying for homes for 30 years and plus. Yeah, that's a slavery system. And so it behooves us to start paying attention to that stuff that has enslaved us for years and years. The prison really is nothing more than just collective beliefs. Where have you bought into collective mindsets and beliefs on this planet? Whether it be in government, in politics, in education, in religion, where have you bought into the groupthink? And how is that groupthink trying to control your behavior, what you do and how you do it? So we've been conditioned to limit ourselves based on limiting beliefs. You're sinful. You're bad. You're not enough. You have to jump through all of these hoops in order to qualify, in order to be worthy, in order to be good enough, smart enough, funny enough, pretty enough, whatever it is in society. So watch for those hoops that you're being required to jump through, and just start paying attention to that stuff. The onus is on us to start discerning the nefarious voices that are seeking to control you. So nobody has the right or the authority to dictate to you what the rules of your life path is. No one has the right to dictate that stuff to you. And if they're trying, then the onus is on you to examine that and to determine for yourself, is this a fit for me? Is this right for me? Is it right that they have the ability to manipulate and control me? So the onus is on you to wake up to what is going on. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, but above and beyond just waking up, we have to learn how to transcend this 3D world, this lower level consciousness of how we have behaved in the world over these years, over these millennia. Things are shifting and changing, and we get to shift and change with it. So that's what we're here. That's exactly what we're here to do. We've been placed in this environment by our own choosing to come here to this planet so that we could have experience and learning, so that we could gain knowledge, I guess is a better word for it. And knowledge comes not from book learning. There's only so much book learning that you can do in your progress as a human soul, as an infinite, eternal soul. There's only so much book learning and guru learning and talk learning that you can do. At some point, you have to step into the practicum, right? You can't just become a doctor by reading a bunch of books. You can't do bodybuilding by reading about bodybuilding or hearing somebody talk about bodybuilding. At some point, you got to go to the gym and lift some weights. If you're a surgeon, at some point, you gotta get in there and get your hands dirty and figure it out, right? You have to actually do stuff. And so that's what this earth life is all about. Getting in there, getting your hands dirty, meeting up against resistance. Some people might call that evil or darkness. The duality that's here on this earthly plane, this three-dimensional world that we live in, is for a purpose. There's purpose in opposition. When you bump up against opposition, there's experience in that. There's learning in it. There's an opportunity for you to overcome, to gain knowledge through your experience. You can't learn something without experience. And so my formula for that is information plus experience. So acting on the information and what's the word? Experimenting on the information that you've gained equals knowledge. You cannot gain knowledge any other way. And that's why we're here in this world, is to bump up against the resistance. And there's a lot of it right now. And that's awesome for you. That's awesome for me, because it gives us an opportunity to get stronger, to build these spiritual muscles within these physical bodies. And that requires stepping out with a lot of boldness and assertion into the unknown, oftentimes. And so it's not just about the process of experiencing, it's about overcoming and mastering. And that's why we're here. And so that should tell you a lot about who you are as an independent soul, an individual soul on this planet right now. This is probably the most resistance this earth has ever seen before, or you could call it evil or darkness or whatever, control, manipulation. We're seeing a lot of that on the planet right now. And so that should tell you a lot about where you're at on your journey, that you came here for a specific reason. You came here specifically to bump up against this level of darkness, this level of resistance, so that you can find the balance, but so that you can also experience what you need to experience so that you can have self and soul mastery. It's a wonderful opportunity for all of us. Carla says, the learning comes in the doing. Take the journey and the experience. Take the journey and the experience with grow. I think you mean will grow you. Love, yeah, will grow you. Love the resistance. Yes, we should love the resistance. Somebody really wise, I was talking to, having a conversation about this just this week, and he said he sees it as darkness. We have darkness in the world, and we have light. We have those who seek to perpetuate darkness in the world, which we might call evil, but we also have people who seek to perpetuate light. And they're both a part of the same airplane. So one is one wing, the darkness is the one wing, and the light is the other wing. They're both a part of the same airplane. And the process really for us is to gain the experience, learn and grow and ascend. How do we ascend? Not by tipping down deep into the darkness, or not by only focusing on the light. We have to recognize both the darkness and the light came from the same place. God created all of it for our learning and for our growth and for our experience. This is the gym. This is where we get to come to overcome. And so if there's no exercise, then all you have is information. You don't have knowledge, you don't have wisdom, you don't have experience, and you don't get the big muscles until you learn to engage. And so part of that process is learning to find balance between the darkness and the light so that you can then ascend and lift. That's when the plane gains lift, is when there's balance and equilibrium. The other thing that I wanted to bring up about that is that in our acting, in our experimenting and exercising our free will here in this place that's going to resist you, that's going to fight against you, that's going to perpetuate evil onto you and others, you're going to see it and witness it, and many of us will experience it. This is an opportunity for us to learn. It's an opportunity for us to grow. It's an opportunity for us to master ourselves. We should be grateful for this opportunity. We should be grateful for the tools that allow us to overcome the resistance and to build these muscles, because we can't do it any other way but with a physical body in a physical, mortal, 3D dimension. But at some point, we have to get out of kindergarten and we have to graduate to 3rd grade and 4th grade and on up. Many of us are seeking to get our master's degree and our doctorate degree. You can't get your master's degree and your doctorate degree by reading the same old alphabet books that you read in kindergarten. So there has to be more learning and new learning and different learning. We're all in different stages of progression too. Some of us are in kindergarten, some of us are on our master's degree. And it doesn't matter where we all are. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you know where you are and you know what the next right step is in front of you. So I'm going to give you, I came up with about 6 different concepts or principles, areas of focus maybe that we could talk about today in regards to how we can up level, how we can overcome this 3D world and expand our consciousness, elevate ourselves into the 4D level of consciousness and 5D and even higher. There are many different dimensions that we can participate in. So the first thing that I came up with that I feel like is such a help in overcoming this low density world is number 1, spiritual awakening. If you, many people on the earth right now are coming through some degree or some level of up-leveling and spiritual awareness, spiritual awakening. They're starting to become more aware of who they are as a spiritual being and that they aren't just a physical body. So spiritual awakening requires that you have an open heart and an open mind. It almost requires that you be willing to unlearn a lot of the things that you thought you once knew. Be willing to rise, be willing to adapt, and be willing to ascend. Because the world is shifting, the world is changing, the paradigms are changing. The paradigms actually are being smashed open and smashed apart. And some of the old paradigms of how we used to operate on this planet are falling away. Nicole says, when I first heard you speak of spiritual sovereignty, it changed everything for me. Yes, and it should. And we are going to talk more about spiritual sovereignty. Buckle up, because the whole next year, 2023, is going to be all about spiritual sovereignty. What can we do to be more sovereign as human beings? And what does it mean to be a human being in this 3D world that is actually transcending and stepping into higher levels of consciousness and awareness? Will you give examples of paradigms being broken open? Yes. And some of you guys might be thinking of some as well. If you have anything to share, please add. Please do share. Jump in. Paradigms that are being broken apart and broken open. You know, societies and systems on the planet, for the most part, are being run and controlled and, how about influenced? That's a better word. Influenced now by elite secret societies that seek to manipulate and control you through mind control methods. And we're starting to wake up to some of that stuff. It's in our school system, it's in our politics, it's in religion. It's been embedded secretly in a lot of these systems that we once thought had our best interest at heart. And so we're starting to wake up to new ways of looking at the world. We're starting to realize here's a paradigm shift. You know, politics. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It really doesn't. They're both trying to do the same thing to you, which is mind control you and dumb you down. So if you understand that, you can break through that paradigm and realize, I don't need to buy into any one political system or the other. How about if we just hold space for each other's free will and sovereignty and agency? How about if we do that? How about if we work towards that end and stop fighting against ideologies? Shauna says, I don't like calling them elite. They are not gods. Well, yes, that's true. I don't like calling them that either, but they see themselves as elite. They cannot allow the truth to be revealed to just anybody and everybody on the planet. truth has been suppressed for a really long time. Katie says, medical paradigm shift from allopathic, big pharma control to holistic, naturopathy, CAMS, quantum healing. Yes. Yeah. And energy healing. Yes. All of that. So that is a paradigm shift. That's a really good example of a paradigm shift. People are starting to become disenfranchised with old ways of seeing things, old ways of buying into old systems that just really aren't working for us anymore. In fact, you look at even the economic systems of the world are starting to break down because they're just not working for us anymore. Something better is coming in, and there has to be room made for the something better to come along. So one of the first concepts that I wanted to focus on for today was spiritual awakening. And that's going to require that you keep an open mind, that you be willing to unlearn some of the things that you've been conditioned to believe, that you've been conditioned to buy into, that maybe not all of it is true for you. And so the onus is on you to go figure that out. I'm not here to tell you what's true and what's not, what's real and what's not. That is on you to go discover that. That's my biggest disclaimer in all of these classes. I'm just sharing with you thoughts that I have. That's it. I don't claim or proclaim to have it all figured out or to have all the truth. When I give you these steps and these concepts and principles, this is just me pontificating. So the onus is on you at the end of the day to go say, I wonder if any of this is true for me. Yeah, Carla says that is happening for sure. Seems like there is a move away from organized religion as well. Yes, of course there is, because organized religion has been manipulated. If you just go study the history of the real history of the planet, not the one that we got in school and high school in textbooks. That's the programmed history. But if you just go study what's happened over the millennia, over the ages on this planet, and how truth has been kept from us, how religion in general, Christianity in general, was, again, it was taken by Constantine, by the elites, those who thought they were in elite positions of power, and they integrated true Christianity with paganism and made their own religion out of it, and then forced everybody to buy into it. And if you didn't, you'd be beheaded or tortured. So a lot of that stuff is starting to come to light. A lot of the religions on the planet are starting to shift and change. Things are starting to be revealed that are making people scratch their heads going, what is going on? What is happening right now? I thought we were supposed to follow these people. And maybe that's not true for us anymore. Maybe we're supposed to be sovereign and autonomous and fully and completely connected and yoked to God to the degree that we get our truth from the source and not from a human that claims to have all truth and to be infallible. Okay, so ask God to show you the bigger picture. As you come through your own spiritual awakenings, we all will in different degrees at different phases and times in our lives. Listen to your own inner GPS. Listen to that. Learn to trust it. Learn that as you start to unlearn the programmed things that the world has tried to teach you or condition you to believe through fear tactics and mind control tactics, as you start to unlearn some of that stuff and unwind it for yourself, you'll begin to realize that the world is a very different place than what you've been led to believe, and you are a lot more powerful of a being than you've been led to believe. So Listen to your inner GPS, learn to listen to that inner voice of God that comes through your own inner GPS. Learn to trust that stuff, learn to act on those things. That will propel you forward into your own spiritual awakening faster than anything else ever could. And then what you do, don't worry about the action steps that you take. It's okay. What does PS stand for? I don't know. I don't know what that question is saying. Oh, energy PS. It's okay to experiment with your actions. It's okay to experiment with your beliefs. It's okay to experiment with where you're going and what works for you individually as an individual soul on this earth. What works for you and what doesn't. So be willing to step out into that stuff boldly. Don't worry about what other people think. Don't worry about how they're going to respond. Don't worry about the judgments that are going to, the finger pointing and any of that. Just let your ego calm down a little bit. Tell your ego to calm down a little bit. And as you do, you'll be able to listen to God's voice more. You'll be able to listen to your inner voice more and trust that. I think that we're coming into an age on the planet where that is what's happening. We're starting to learn that that is the only source of truth that we truly, honestly can trust. So as you come through your spiritual awakening, let yourself come up against those challenges to think in a different way, see things from a different vantage point, and learn things from a more pure source rather than just sitting on your hands waiting for somebody to tell you what the truth is. The onus is on you. Concept number 2 is resolve karmic debt. I was listening to a video on YouTube just over the weekend, and they were talking about past lives. They were talking about the law of karma and how sometimes we get trapped into this 3D world. We come here over and over and over, and we incarnate into various different bodies, into various different experiences for learning and for progression and for growth so that we can keep having more experience. But sometimes what can happen is we can get stuck in the cycle of learning the same lesson over and over and over. So if you want to get out of that rut, if you want to rise and ascend out of that prison state, then you have to resolve karmic debt. The law of karma states that whatever you put out into the world, it has to come back to you. Whatever energies you're sending out or putting upon other people, whatever judgments, however you treat humanity and the earth and the world and any living thing in the universe, that energy that you project out, that you put out, whether it's sadness or bitterness or anger or hate or hurt or you seek vitriol against another human being, even if you think that person is evil, the energy that you send out has to come back to you by law. And so wherever we have harmed or wronged or thought ill of another or perpetuated ill onto another, that energy has to come back to us, and it has to be resolved through us, through our physical bodies. And so that resolving of karmic energy takes a high level of love in order to break that cycle, in order to resolve the karmic debt that's coming back to you. So there's a level of resolution that has to take place. You have to resolve the negative energy. There's also a level of letting go. You may have to let go of something. Let go of some beliefs, let go of some anger, let go of some patterns, let go of aspects of yourself that have been lied to or that have been lying to you. So it does take a level of letting go. It takes a high level of being in the present moment now. If you want to resolve karmic energy that's coming back to you, be in the present moment now, because it's in that space that you create what's coming next. And so if you're in the present moment now, then you can be a wise steward of your free will. And then lastly, one of the best ways to resolve karmic debt that's coming back onto you is forgiveness. Love people, forgive them, have compassion, let go of your need to suffer. So the third principle, that's the second principle, which is resolve the karmic debt. The third principle in helping us to transcend this 3D lower level, low density world is to evolve through Christ consciousness. What does that mean? We throw these terms around often. I think personally, and you guys can share with me what you feel about all of this, but evolving through Christ consciousness in my mind means aligning ourselves with the tenets and the attributes, the teachings even, if you will, of Christ. Rising into higher levels of love than we've ever been capable of before. To me, these high levels of love they're light energy, they're high frequency, they're enlightened energy. So when you're in that energy and choosing to be in that energy and evolving into a being that operates from there as your default, you literally do bust through the shackles of the perceived prison on this earth. Because truth be told, there is no prison. The only prison is what you allow yourself to buy into, what beliefs you allow yourself to buy into. And it's as simple, we can change this as quickly as we can change our mind and change our belief systems and put ourselves into these higher states of love. So when somebody perpetuates evil or wrong or hurtful things against you and onto you, your challenge is to return the energy inside of you, not to bitterness, not to sadness. Don't go into any of you can go into those energies if you want to, but allow them to quickly play out and move through you so that you can return yourself to love. And eventually there won't be any need for lower level emotions. You will have worked through, they will have burned themselves through your system to the degree that you can stay in an elevated state of love perpetually. How awesome would that be? So returning everything to love. To me, that's what it means to evolve through Christ consciousness, being in those elevated states of love. When you're in a higher state of vibration, a higher state of love and gratitude and peace and forgiveness, when you are operating in those high states, you comprehend more, you're more wise, you're more intelligent, you're more tapped into God, you're more tapped into divine, infinite intelligence, which is you. You know who you are, you know where you're going. You comprehend the nature of God. So that's how we bring balance into the world that is kind of a world that we've been conditioned to see as a dualistic place. It isn't. All there is God. Okay, the fourth concept I think that will help us the most in rising above this 3D, three-dimension, low density plane is, we've talked about this before, and we're going to talk about it all year, next year, is acting in the fullness of your sovereignty as an autonomous being. That is not an easy thing to do. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of personally what I feel like that means as we move into January of 2023. But to just kind of lightly touch on what it means to be a sovereign being, I think being sovereign is somebody who stands in the essence of who they really are and needs nothing outside of them to make them complete or whole. That's to me what sovereignty is. You don't cling to things. You don't set up unhealthy expectations onto people and to things and to situations. You allow your life to unfold the way that it does, and you choose. You use your free will. You act in the fullness of your free will as an autonomous agent unto yourself. God's not looking for a bunch of little blind sheep to follow him. That is part of the process of our spiritual growth and our awakenings, to follow those who have gone before and done it before us. But at some point in our progression, we have to stand on our own 2 feet, right? It's like the little toddler that's learning how to walk. At some point, you let go of your mother's hand and you stand on your own 2 feet and you become your own person, not the person that your family is trying to make you into, but you become your own individual person. So a sovereign being is one who can govern themselves. You don't need government to tell you what to do. You don't need your church to tell you what to do. You don't need your religion to tell you what to do. You don't need leaders to tell you what to do, teachers, professors, blah, 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 gurus, none of that. You have a sovereign being is someone who is perpetually moving into the position of governing themselves and acting in the fullness of their own agency as an agent unto themselves. God wants your autonomy because that's who God is. A sovereign, autonomous being. Okay, principle number, did I see a hand come up? I thought I saw a hand come up, but now I don't see one. I might have missed it. Heather says, I think Christ consciousness includes the idea of becoming intensely conscious, being highly aware and focused on the present moment, while adhering to the creator of all that is and his plan of service to others. Wow, I love that. I love how you worded that. I'm going to read it one more time. It's the idea of becoming intensely conscious, being highly aware and focused on the present moment. Yes, being in the now, while adhering to the creator of all that is and his plan of service to others. Yeah, you know, his plan of service to others is a really great way to discern the fruits of where you're going. If your conscious awareness in the moment, if you're being in the now, in the moment right now, compels you or motivates you with a desire to love others and serve others and forgive others and pour out onto others service, that is a highly discernible fruit. That's how you know the fruits are good, is because you'll be compelled and inspired to lift somebody else. So good job. Appreciate that message. We're going to go into principle number 5. We've got 2 more. And then hopefully, I think we are going to have a little bit of time to jump into a healing exercise where we can literally figure out what it feels like to ascend and rise above this 3D low density energy that this world is made of, so that we can create a new world. That's what we're doing. Number 5, principle number 5, the universe and consciousness is constantly expanding. And so should we be constantly expanding. That's going to require some bold steps on your part, stepping out of the boat, stepping out of the box, stepping out of programming, stepping out of conditioning, stepping out of how it's always been. And the only way that you're going to know what the next right step in any of that is by listening to the inner stillness of your soul, by listening to the inner GPS. That inner GPS, the inner stillness of your soul, is how God speaks to you. And so we got to be open for change. You cannot stay in the box all the time and expect to ascend from that place. And in the box, meaning just cultural norms, just cultural conditioning and programming, and the same old narratives being spewed out over and over and over. At some point, we have to be willing to open our minds to more, because there is more than what you've been taught and conditioned to believe. So we have to allow ourselves to be, I guess, in a state of neutrality would be a good word to describe it. Being neutral, being observant, allowing changes to come, allowing ourselves to adopt new beliefs. That's, I think, how we evolve and rise above this low density groupthink or group consciousness. That's how we create the change in the world that we want to see. We have to be that change. So be open to change, be willing to unlearn everything that you ever thought that you once knew. I heard a quote one time by Neil Maxwell, who is a leader in the LDS church. He's deceased, but it was a really great quote. And he talked about, I'm not going to get this right, but he did talk about how he says, and this guy was very astute, very intellectual, a very intellectual person. But he says, over the course of my lifetime, only about 5% of what I thought I once knew, I actually can claim that I know is absolute. 5%. That's minuscule in comparison to all of the truths that he has taught and learned over his lifetime. And so the same is true for most of us. If you really take the time to examine your life, examine the world around you, most of it's not true. And so you have to be willing to unlearn. Yes, go ahead, Toby Lynn.
I'm curious, the words that just came to my mind, and I want to know your opinion on this, is let go of your physical holding patterns.
I love that. Let go of your physical holding patterns. That's prison. So anything that's encouraging you to stay in the box, to stay in the mindset, to stay in the societal or cultural or group norms, anything that is encouraging and inviting you to stay in the norms and not to break out or not to rise above or not to step out, that's prison.
So I guess what's going on for me at the moment is I have some tension in my stomach as we're talking about these things. I can tell that there's something emotional there because I have some tears that want to form in my eyes. And the words let go of physical holding patterns. It makes me think of, how am I holding fear? Or how am I, like, what am I, and even that makes me wonder, like, what am I holding physically?
Yeah, that's the question I would ask you, is what are you holding on to that you just don't want to let go of because it's so meaningful to you? Whatever that is, I don't know what that is. You're the only one who knows what that would be.
The word torture comes to my mind.
Interesting.
Fear
And
of torture.
yeah, why is that important to you?
Why is torture important to me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first words that come to me is, I don't want to be tortured again.
Yeah. So what are you holding on to? Not maybe necessarily the torture, but is there some fear that you're holding on to? Is there some meaning? Is there a story? What is it that you're holding on to that you're not willing to let go of?
Some kind of physical holding pattern.
Yeah.
Some kind of physical holding pattern. And I guess the word that jumps into my mind is story.
Yeah, there's a story. Carla has a comment. Go ahead, Carla, on that. Maybe you can add to what Toby Lynn's working through.
Sometimes when those patterns show up for me personally, I find that it's something that I took on and inherited, or decided to believe that was mine, that was actually from my mom from when she was pregnant with me.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. So it can be generational even.
Mm-hmm.
I believe a lot of what's coming up for you, Toby Lynn, might also even just be based on your experiences
Mm-hmm.
that you've had. And not wanting to let go of that story is very meaningful.
Okay, so mentally I've let go and spiritually I've let go. And this is physical holding pattern.
Mm.
It's just a very interesting like let go of your physical holding patterns.
Yeah, and it's
I
showing
think
up
that's just
in
a
your
very
gut,
interesting. Yeah, it's
right?
just interesting, or embody even the whole body.
Yeah. Is it in
It's
your
just
upper gut or your lower gut?
middle gut.
Middle gut. Okay, so both the power center and also family and emotion and creativity. So there's a lot of that stuff coming up. The boundaries were crossed. You know, in torture, your free will is stripped from you.
Hmm.
There are no boundaries. There is no human respect,
So
right?
how does one tap into and find out what those physical holding patterns are? I hear you ask some really good questions, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it matters what they actually are. What matters the most is where are you storing it in your body?
Mm,
And are
okay.
you willing to let that energy go? So let's go into a meditation right now. I want you to drop. Everybody can do this together. Everybody just drop your attention down into your body. Go inside your body and breathe. Let's just focus on the breath for just a moment. Breathe in through your nose. On the exhale, I want you to just let go, let go, let go. So Toby Lynn, you're going to focus on the gut, the upper gut and the lower gut and the middle. You're just going to focus on, maybe even press down. Take your thumb just below the sternum and press down on the upper gut. And as you breathe out, invite those muscles to release. Drop your attention down, down, down into your body. Go down into your hips and your legs and under your feet. And let your higher self just kind of come into your body all the way. So on the inhale, I want you to pretend that you're breathing in your higher self into every cell, into all your bones, into all of the muscles and the organs and the tissue and the flesh and the atoms and these subatomic particles. When you breathe in, just bring your higher self in. When you breathe out, shine through all that stuff, all the physical holding patterns. We're going to pierce the darkness and shine right through it. Breathing in your higher self, breathing in your I am. You can even say your name.
I am.
I am. And as you breathe out, let your essence, your presence shine like you stepped into the center of the sun and the sun stepped into the center of you. Let's expand through it. So go into the center of your gut where you're feeling that heaviness or wherever you're feeling it now. If it's in your shoulders, go into that area and just shine through it. We want to let your essence and your light and your energy shine through those physical holding patterns. That
It's
gunk.
like a tight knot.
Yeah.
It's like a very, very, very tight knot.
Yeah. Can you go into the body and ask that tight knot the questions that you want to ask it? Maybe, what are you here for? Would you like to become something else? Whatever you want to ask this tight knot. Who are you and why are you here?
I'm here to stop you from being big.
Mm,
I'm here to keep you small. Because that's when you get big, you get tortured.
yeah.
I guess I have to check my idea of what tortured means. That's interesting.
Yeah. Can you just tell it, this is my body? You don't have the authority to show up that way. This is my body. And you can't be here in my body anymore. Tell the not that it's time. It's time to let go. It's time to change. It's time to transform into something else. Woo, there we go. There it goes. What did it change into?
There's a lot of tears. Like I want to cry for some reason. I'm not sure why.
That's okay. Go ahead and cry it out. Just let it go. Let that sadness work its way through your system until it becomes something else. You can even ask sadness, would you like to become something else? And just acknowledge sadness. Tell sadness it's okay to be there.
It's interesting because it's saying,
Oh, did we just lose you? Jump back on, Toby Lynn. I want to hear the rest of your story. I think we just lost you. Darn it. I'm going to wait for her to jump back on.
there's some health issues that's around this, which is very interesting.
Okay, so you said there's some health issues?
Yeah, like I can see that it's attached to some things that are showing up physically in my body.
Okay,
So it's not here to protect me because now it's actually hurting me.
yeah. All right. And then it's up to you to make that declarative statement. This is my body, and I choose something different.
Something different.
I choose for you to either let go or to transform.
Rather let go or transform.
And then just tell the energy, I love you.
I love you.
I love you. I love you. I love you. And it will either let go or it will become something else. So now look at it as you've just kind of softened and surrendered. I want you to breathe into your body, dropping down to the base of the spine or lower. As you breathe into your body, how does that energy morph? How does it change?
I guess the knot is softening and opening up a little more and allowing some life force energy to kind of trickle through it.
Good. That's good.
I can tell that there's movement happening.
Does the rope or the cord that the knot was made of, does that want to become something else as well?
It wants to be undone. It wants to be in a line, and yet it doesn't know how it's twisted on itself. And my thought is, do I have to know? I don't think I have to know, but my mind, however, wants to know how it twisted.
Yeah. Just drop down to the base of your spine and say, disentangle now.
Disentangle now.
Whew, and like a big ball of spaghetti that's tied up in a bunch of knots, just let all of the pieces disentangle and drop. So I want you to just let all of the matter, all of the material drop down through the base of the spine, through your legs and down and out your feet into a big black hole underneath you so that it can be transformed into something better. Breathe
so
that
as it drops down, it the words enlightened and empowered come to my mind.
Good. Good. That's what the gunk was holding you back from. It was from your enlightened self and your empowered self. So who do you get to be now?
To be my true, authentic, sovereign self.
Yeah, without these physical holding patterns. It's just a matter of you choosing to see it for what it is and exercise your free will and sovereignty to choose something better.
That's so interesting how it said release the physical holding pattern. That's so cool. Thank you, Janet. That I can feel like I got a bit of a headache now, a little bit.
Yeah.
However, I can feel that the knot that was there has like relaxed, released what it was holding on to.
Where's your headache? Is it in the face? Is it in the back? Where is it?
Just give me 1 second. Let me just. It's on the bottom of my brain. So it's in the back and the front. It's on the bottom though.
Yeah. So this is typically where we get spiritual attachments, is at the base of the spine, the top of the spine, the
Yep.
base of the brain.
Mhm.
So just continue to release, just continue to expel, just continue to tell that energy, I choose to walk in the highest light. And just let that light permeate and penetrate and push through all of the darkness until that darkness releases itself from your brain and from your head and your skull. Keep breathing into your body, get into your hips and your legs and underneath your feet. And I
Mhm.
want you to just keep focusing on the question, who am I? Who do I get to be now that I walk in the highest light, that I choose to let go of this binding physical knot, and that I choose to walk in the highest light, free from the limitation. Just keep focusing on that with the breath and keep expelling all the gunk as you do that. As you're doing that and processing through, I'm going to come back to you, Toby Lan, just to see if everything is resolved. This is called resolving karmic backlash. This is resolving the karma so that you don't have to continue to repeat these physical and mental and spiritual holding patterns that are keeping you stuck. The last point that I want to bring up in today's class, and then I'm going to let you guys go, is just some ideas of things that you can do to help you come through the chaotic feeling of transition. We're transitioning from a 3D world to a 4D, 5D, 6D, and higher. We're opening up to many higher awarenesses, higher levels of spirituality, higher levels of conscious awareness, higher levels of divine intelligence, higher levels of acting and standing in sovereignty and free will. This is what's coming. But as we transition into this newness, this new earth that is being birthed as a result of people waking up and letting go, there can also seems like there's chaos all around. It seems like there's darkness everywhere. It seems like people's egos are freaking out, and they are. So I'm going to give you about 8 different tips of things that we can do. They're free. You can do it right now to help you navigate through this process of transitioning into becoming higher, more enlightened, more spiritual beings than we've ever done before. First, turn off the news. Don't listen to it. If it brings you down and makes you feel heavy and makes you feel fearful and overwhelmed and scared and causes your ego to freak out, turn it off and don't pay attention to it anymore. It's not serving you. It's perpetuating fear. And that's not the energy. That's not where we're going. That's not where we're going. Some people are going there, but that's not where we're going. We're choosing more light, more love, more peace, more joy. That's the world that we're choosing to create from. So you got to be in a place where you can create that, and fear will never get you there. So turn off the news, watch your breathing, pay attention to the breath, slow the breath down and be intentional with the breath. Use lots of different kinds of breaths. In my quantum healing program, I teach lots and lots of different types of breaths to help raise your consciousness and your awareness, to help support the body through these physical and spiritual changes we're going through. So watch your breath. Just be intentional about your breath. Slow it down. Focus. When you breathe in tons of liquid light on purpose. When you breathe in, bring your higher self into every cell, bringing it into your bones. When you breathe out, empty your body. Let go of all the gunk. Unravel, unwind, let go. resolve. Breathe in light and love. Breathe out all the gunk and let go. Number 3, go within. Drop down into your heart. Drop down into the base of the spine. Drop down underneath your feet. Bring your awareness inside of you and be present. Go into the stillness of who you really are. Go into that stillness. Turn off the news, go into the stillness. Number 4, a really great way that you can, well, let me just iterate what number 4 is. Number 4 is be in the now. Be present. Take your awareness, go within, be inside your body, and be very present, be very mindful, be very intentional, be very awake spiritually. One of my favorite ways to become more present and more in the now is to light a candle and stare at it. Just candle gazing. Stare at the flame, watch it dance in front of you, and watch your thoughts start to dissolve, watch your kind of the awareness of the physical body starts to dissolve, and you become much more heightened in your attunement to the spirit realm, to your own spirit, your spirituality. Watch. So light a candle and candle gaze. It'll bring you into the present moment. Another thing that will bring you into the now is slowing your movements. So like if I wanted to raise my arm above my head, it would take me 4 hours to go from here to here. I want you to slow your movements that slow, to the degree that your hand and your arm is moving so slow. You are so aware of your body. You're paying attention to the breath. You're paying attention to the movement, every minute little movement or adjustment. You're paying attention. That's a great way to come into the now. Number 5, put your bare feet on the earth. Get out into the dirt, get into the ground, dig in the dirt. I know we're coming into winter, and that might not be as viable for some of you, but try it every day. Even if it's snowy, take off your shoes and socks. Shauna says, I bought a grounding pad. Awesome. Use it. Use it. Get yourself grounded every day. If you can't go out and stand barefoot in the dirt because the snow is too cold and the ground is frozen right now, do it for just a couple seconds. I mean, anybody can do that. Or go to the lowest point of your home and stand where the floor touches the ground. So not upstairs, but downstairs, and ground yourself. Center yourself, ground yourself. 6, float in a space of neutrality. When you go within, take your awareness and you go inside of your body, you'll notice that you feel more still, you feel more peaceful, you feel more calm, you feel more just sovereign. You feel more resolute. You guys just had 30-degree weather. Oh, that's funny. Did you miss the opportunity? Mike says, Shauna, can you post a link for the pad that you bought, your grounding pad? Have you used it already? I've been looking at getting one. Yeah, those things are amazing and awesome. You can also use stones. You can also bring like a kitty litter box of sand or dirt into your home and just stand on that if you like. Okay, float in neutrality. Shauna says, I keep it under my feet during sleep in my bed. I noticed so far it helps restless legs. Okay, awesome. It's floating in a state of neutrality that will help to produce a more positive feeling, a more positive place where we can create from. So being still, you know, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's okay to just quiet your life and simplify your life and just do nothing for a day. to get you recentered, regrounded, go back into that still point energy. That's what you really want to do as we come through this transition. I think we're going to go through transition for a few years. I really do. I feel like we're probably going to be transitioning till 2030 or so. I don't know. I really don't know. But if that is the case, then we need opportunities to feed our soul, to nourish our soul, to do a reset, to get grounded, to get back into that place of balance and stillness and peace. So sometimes just being still and doing nothing is a way to kind of do a reset and to help yourself just come back into the calmness of who you are and realize, oh yeah, okay, I'm okay. I'm okay. It is what it is, and I'm okay. I'm an infinite being, and I'm not going anywhere. Michelle says, I like to go to the hot springs and soak. Oh, that would be so nice. That would be so nice. Sometimes you can get grounded by taking a nice warm bath, putting some salts or some oils like the Epsom salts into the bath, or some stones or whatever you want to putting into the water, and just absorbing the energy of those things. That's a really great way to do a reset and get grounded. Number 7, go with the flow. Learn to go with the flow. Learn to allow your life to unfold. It doesn't mean you have to be passive about everything. It doesn't mean you can't take a stand. It just means learn to let life play out. This transition has to happen. If we're going to ascend, we have to go through that transitionary space of discomfort. If you want to give birth, you have to go through labor. So learn to go with the flow. The greatest advice anybody ever gave me when I was giving birth to my 6 babies, and I didn't do it all at once, but one at a time, was learn to surrender. Let your body surrender to the process. That was the greatest advice anybody ever gave me, because it helped me to open up and expand to the experience that was taking place, and not meet it with resistance. When you meet a transition or an experience like that, labor, with resistance, it's going to fight you back. And we don't want to be in a perpetual state of fighting. So learn to go with the flow, allow your life to unfold, be in a state of non-resistance. How do you do that? Get yourself centered, get yourself grounded. Go into that expansive state, spread your energy out. You don't always have to be in control of everything. It's not necessary, nor is it possible. When you put yourself into a state of flow and allowing, oh, my clock says 11:11. How interesting. When you put yourself into that state of allowing life to unfold, then you can intuitively walk through the process of what's next. What is the next right step in front of me? Then you can take action. And it's motivated not by fear, but it's motivated by the next right thing. Number 8, ask a ton of questions. These are all free things that you can do right now to help you get through this transition from 3D into these higher states of consciousness, so that you can come through it without really getting your trash kicked big time. I think people who are less awake, less aware, less conscious, more in a state of following the narrative or following the group think, when these shifts really start to crack apart old paradigms that we've had for all of these ages, it's going to hurt. It's going to be very painful for some people, but it'll be less painful if you do these things. Be in a state of non-resistance. Get yourself grounded, turn off the news, go within, learn to be still, get yourself centered, resolve karmic debt, let go, resolve what's going on inside of you. And if you need to hire a mentor or someone to help you with that, sometimes it's useful to have somebody take you by the hand. The last one, asking questions, I find is a really powerful way to start discovering, what am I holding on to? What's going on inside of me that's holding me back from ascending, from rising, from being sovereign. Given what I know, here's a good question to ask. Given what I know now, are there adjustments in my path that I need to make that would benefit me in making? Given what I know now, are there adjustments that I could make that would be more in alignment with where my soul is going? And then the last one, learn to feed your soul. Learn to find things that you love. Learn to fill yourself up with love. Learn to fill yourself up with that which you do love, which makes you feel alive and good and happy and grateful. Find those things and fill your life with those things. So my question for you guys is, what are you going to do with this opportunity? Because the opportunity is right on the threshold. It's on our doorstep. Changes are coming. All you have to do is look at the world and realize, holy crap, stuff is shifting big time. So you can either choose to awaken, you can choose to ascend, you can choose to rise above, you can take this precious opportunity that is in front of you and use it to your advantage. This is a magical opportunity for all of us to grow, to go into the gym and work these muscles and rise above and experience self-mastery. And that's what we're here to do. And once we've experienced and learned self-mastery, then guess what? Then you get to go out and you get to hold space for other people and love people and give and serve and be a light in this world. And then you get to contribute on a bigger scale than you've ever done before. And there's nothing more meaningful than that.
Janet, do we have a couple minutes still?
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Yesterday, something happened for me that had never happened before. I have a son, I've talked about him before, that's been in addictions, and he was 4 months sober. Yesterday, he called me. He had relapsed. He's never called me in his relapse state before, or in his full-blown state before.
Mhm.
And I went down to where he was, and he was so intoxicated. His eyes were rolling back in his head. He was bouncing around, trying to talk to me, tell me that, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm in a lot of shame. You need to leave. And I kept saying, what do I do, God? What do I do? And my mother heart was feeling like it was breaking.
Mhm.
And I kept getting the words, be still and know that I am God.
Mhm.
And as I cried and went through some emotions as I left, the thought came to me was, why are you crying? And all of a sudden I started to realize I was crying because Christmas for me was going to be different now than what I thought, because of the inconvenience that this has brought upon me. And it's like, all these things that you're crying about have nothing to do with him. These are all your fears. These are all your worries. Let go of those.
Yeah.
Let go of the stress of him. Realize that he has his own path, that I love him. He called you because he wanted you to know that he's thinking of you, even though he's in that high state of addiction. And I'll tell you, I had to pray. I had to get on my knees and literally pray and ask the Lord, what do you want me to know? And what came to me was, you have to love him. God doesn't run down and rescue his children when they're in the heights of their addiction. God doesn't go down and pull him out of wherever he's at. God doesn't do that. What God does is sit there and wait for his children to call him.
Mhm.
God sits there and says, hey, when you're ready, I'll be here. And what came to my heart is, Toblin, how can you be there when you're thinking of yourself? See it from Christ's perspective. Let go of the doubt, the worry, the fear. Become Christ conscious about this issue.
Yes.
And be still and know that I am God. I have control, even for you. I'm here for you. And I'm like, well, where are you? I feel like I feel all these things. And it's like, because you had an agenda, you had expectations, you had assumptions, you had all these things and wanted it your way, when your son needs you to be there and allow him to do it his way. Because one of the things he did say to me, is, Mom, please let me have space so I can screw up and learn from this. You need to be okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was fully drunk and intoxicated. Like I said, his eyes rolling back in the back of his head, bouncing around. Yet I could feel that God wanted me to be still and to let go of all of my fears, which it does take a mental process. I recommend a book, Unhooked, How to Help and something. It took me a process to go through to get my brain to stop doing the ego thing.
Yeah.
And become Christ-centered,
Yeah.
Christ-conscious, with what would Christ do, his traits, his characteristics, his attributes. I'll tell you, that is the hardest work that I've ever done.
It
Because
is.
it's me separating from my brain,
It is.
from my preconceived, because I felt like I was, because then the next thought was, oh, you know what? I'm actually glad that he's not going to be home for Christmas because it was too much of a headache. And it's like, till then, you don't want to admit those things, yet that's at your bottom of your thinking too, is too hard. Let go. And I love how it said unhook. I had to mentally unhook from what the world would say of fear and panicking. Oh no, your child's going to go to hell. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I highly recommend you connect with Mike. He's recommending a book called Unhooked, How to Help an Addicted Loved One Recover. And there's a link to that. You can grab that link. It might be good for the two of you to have a conversation and just kind of
That would
connect
be wonderful.
on Facebook at some point. I think that Mike has possibly some really good insight to share with you on that. We're out of time. Thank you guys for being on here. Toby Lynn, thank you for your perspectives today. I think what you just talked about is exactly where, as we come through our own awakening and as we come through our own process of trying to find our way back to love and trying to return ourselves back to love, then it branches out from there. Just like what you said with your son, we have to find a way to hold space for our brothers and sisters on this planet, for wherever they are, however they choose to show up. God doesn't say to us, all right, you can screw up, but you only get 2 chances and then I'm out of here and I'm never going to love you again, or I'm never going to support you again. God allows for as many screw ups as you need or want until you get it out of your system. And that should be true for us too, as human beings, as we hold space for and in compassion for our brothers and sisters who are struggling with whatever they're struggling with on the planet. Karen, did you have a comment before we go?
I just wanted to thank you before we left, and I didn't want to interrupt you though. Thank you so much. Exercise really helped me too, because I've been having a lot of gut issues, and I'm thinking, wow, I must be holding on to stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I seem to take herbal. I'm just like, oh, yeah. So I need to work on that.
Yes, use those 8 or 9 suggestions that I recommended to you guys, and also just drop down into your heart, drop down into the base of the spine, drop down into your body, and breathe and soften until you can surrender, until your body can surrender all the tension. And that's how you put yourself into a state of spontaneous healing, is by being in a state of surrender. All right, everybody, thank you for being here. Yes, thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you, Toby Lynn, for your comments, and everybody else who had comments to share in the chat. That was really awesome. As always, I appreciate these. We will go right up until the week before Christmas with these classes. And then I'm so excited for this coming year. January is going to be, the theme will be on sovereignty. But as we prepare for that, we're closing out this year. This year was all about manifesting miracles and healing the past. And I really hope that the classes that we took you through this year helped you to do some of that, some of your own inner work as you learn to let go and as you learn to become the next step, which is become more sovereign. Those of you who want to purchase all of the replays for this year, they're not all on my YouTube channel. They're not even all on Facebook. So if you want access to all of the replays for the year, you can go over to janetthurga.com, click on courses, and you'll find the course. It's Manifesting Miracles and Healing the Past for the year 2022. I highly recommend it if you have gotten a lot of benefit from these classes this year so far. All right, take care, everybody, and we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Talk to you later. Mwah. Take care.